The alien fleet loomed on the edge of human space, its ships gleaming with arrogance and cold indifference. As they sailed into view, a coalition of species whose technology was decades, if not centuries, ahead of humanity's. The leaders of this fleet were beings from different worlds, each one a different shape, size, and color, but all with one thing in common: they shared the belief that humans were nothing more than an insignificant blip in the grand scheme of the galaxy. As they drifted closer to Earth, the ship's engines pulsed with an eerie glow, casting long shadows across the void. The communication channels crackled to life as the alien commander's voice boomed across the frequencies. It was sharp, commanding, and filled with contempt. "Our sensors show the inferiority of your fleet. You cannot hope to match us in any meaningful way. Your weapons are primitive, and your technology is nothing more than a relic of a forgotten era." The alien's voice held a mocking tone. As they spoke, the words dripped with disdain, as if humanity was no more than a curiosity they had stumbled upon by accident. In the heart of humanity's fleet, Captain Rachel Pierce stood tall on the bridge of the Defiant. Her hands rested firmly on the command console, her eyes fixed on the view screen. As the alien ships appeared like dark clouds in the distance, her crew stood behind her, each member of the team focused on their station, their faces a mixture of determination and anxiety. They had known this day would come eventually, the moment when their fragile fleet would face a force far greater than anything they had ever encountered. The mockery from the alien commander echoed through the communication systems, but Pierce refused to let the words shake her resolve. Despite being vastly outnumbered and facing enemies with superior firepower, the human fleet was not intimidated. The ships of the United Earth Forces may have been smaller and less advanced, but they had something the aliens did not: a fierce determination and an unmatched ability to adapt to any situation. Captain Pierce had commanded her fleet through countless battles and skirmishes in the past, but this would be different. The stakes were higher than ever before. She knew the aliens' arrogance was their greatest weapon, but she also knew it was a weakness. Pierce turned to her tactical officer, Lieutenant Jameson. His eyes were locked onto the incoming ships. His fingers flew over the console as he fed information into the ship's systems. "Captain Pierce, we've got multiple hostiles approaching. They've already started launching their first wave of firepower. We need to respond quickly." Jameson's voice was steady, but there was a flicker of unease in his eyes. Pierce nodded without hesitation. They would have to fight for their survival. The time for fear had passed. "Prepare for evasive maneuvers," she ordered, her voice calm and commanding. The crew sprang into action. Immediately, the Defiant and the rest of the human fleet began to shift positions as the alien ships loomed ever closer. Pierce could feel the weight of their mockery still lingering in the air, but she refused to be shaken. They had underestimated humanity, and that would be their downfall. As the alien ships began firing their first salvo, the human fleet dodged and weaved through the chaos, their movements swift and calculated, but the aliens were relentless, their weapons tearing through the emptiness of space like waves crashing against a rock. As the first of their blasts reached the human fleet, Pierce braced herself, but the Defiant was already maneuvering to avoid the impact. The human ships were small, agile, and unpredictable, while the alien weapons were powerful. They lacked the flexibility to deal with the human tactics. The battle had only just begun, but Pierce knew something the aliens did not. She knew that humanity had only one way to win this fight: adapt, overcome, and never back down. The first salvo from the alien fleet exploded around them, massive bursts of energy lighting up the vast expanse of space. The human fleet, despite being outclassed, was quick to respond. Captain Pierce watched with cold precision as the Defiant weaved through the chaos, her hands moving deftly over the console to guide the ship with the calculated skill of a seasoned commander. The alien ships were powerful, their weapons designed to obliterate entire fleets in a single strike, but they hadn't accounted for the human spirit that powered this fleet. "Helm, adjust course to 45 degrees port," Pierce ordered, her voice cutting through the hum of the bridge. "All ships, move into defensive formation. Now." Lieutenant Jameson was quick to relay the orders. Around them, the human ships shifted like a well-oiled machine. The alien fleet, massive and intimidating, had underestimated the humans' ability to react. They saw only small ships darting erratically, moving unpredictably. and it threw their fire control systems off. The aliens, relying on raw firepower and advanced technology, were now facing something far more dangerous: tactics. The human fleet wasn't here to fight on the enemy's terms, and that realization was dawning on the alien commanders far too late. On the Defiant, Pierce remained stoic as enemy fire rained down in waves. Their weapons were powerful, their ships large and imposing, but they lacked the agility of the human vessels. The Defiant danced between incoming blasts, a sleek shadow cutting through the void. Behind them, the rest of the human fleet followed suit, the smaller ships taking advantage of the environment, darting behind asteroids, using debris fields as cover, and making themselves impossible targets. The aliens, with all their might and technology, were struggling to adapt to the unpredictable nature of human tactics. "Captain, incoming missile barrage," shouted Lieutenant Jameson, his fingers a blur across the console. Pierce's eyes narrowed. The alien commanders had quickly adapted and were now launching a massive barrage of missiles aimed directly at the Defiant and its fleet. It was an attempt to overwhelm them with sheer force. But Pierce was ready. She'd expected this. "Deploy countermeasures, all ships," she barked. The Defiant's defensive systems flared to life. A dense cloud of chaff and electronic pulses erupted around the fleet, designed to confuse and disable the alien targeting systems. It was a technique that had been used by human fleets in small skirmishes, but now it was being tested on the grandest scale imaginable. The missiles veered off course, the alien targeting systems unable to adjust in time to the sudden barrage of interference. Some still found their marks, but most were rendered useless as they exploded in harmless showers of sparks and fire. "Direct hit on their flagship," reported the weapons officer, his voice filled with surprise. Pierce allowed herself a small, grim smile. She had done the impossible. She had forced the aliens to acknowledge that their technology, no matter how advanced, was not infallible. The flagship, a massive vessel at the center of the alien formation, was now listing, its shields flickering. The human fleet had done what the aliens thought impossible, inflicted damage on a ship that should have been invincible. But there was no time to celebrate. The aliens were not yet defeated. The alien fleet regrouped quickly, adjusting their formation and strategies as they realized they were being outmaneuvered. Their commander, once confident in their superiority, was now facing a reality that was far more complicated than he had anticipated. He sent another message across the comms, this one more measured but still laced with arrogance. "You will regret underestimating us, humans. You fight with primitive tactics, but you cannot hope to win. Your resources are finite, and we have only just begun." Captain Pierce's expression remained unwavering. The aliens were angry now, desperate to assert their dominance. But Pierce knew one thing above all else. Desperation was a weakness. The human fleet was in for the long haul. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and facing the full might of an alien coalition. But they had something the aliens didn't: the will to fight, to adapt, and to survive. "Prepare for the next phase," Pierce said, her voice steady as ever. "This is only the beginning." The alien commander, a tall and gaunt being with dark blue skin and eyes like burning coals, watched as his fleet reformed in response to the unexpected resistance from the humans. His ships, once considered the pinnacle of galactic power, were now damaged, their mighty guns failing to strike with the precision they had once boasted. His fleet had suffered losses, and the humans, those inferior beings, had inflicted them. The commander's arrogance was quickly turning into frustration. He had underestimated the humans, thinking them easy prey, a fleeting inconvenience on their path to conquest. "Focus your fire on their weakest ships," he ordered, his voice seething with barely contained rage. "End this quickly." The alien forces followed their leader's command, launching an even greater barrage of plasma and particle beams toward the human fleet. This time, the bombardment was relentless, and the alien ships adjusted their approach to strike from multiple angles. They were not merely attacking. They were hunting, driven by a desire to crush the humans beneath their heel. From the Defiance Bridge, Captain Pierce surveyed the situation with calm determination. The alien weapons were massive and capable of tearing apart entire ships, but Pierce was no stranger to overwhelming odds. She had seen her crew fight impossible battles before. Every officer on the bridge was focused, every crew member tense, yet determined. They had proven the aliens wrong once, and they could do it again. "Lieutenant Jameson," Pierce called out, her eyes never leaving the screen. "Initiate evasive maneuvers. Break their formation." "Yes, Captain," Jameson responded, his hands flying over the controls. The Defiant lurched forward, narrowly dodging the first wave of alien fire as the rest of the fleet followed suit, breaking apart into smaller groups that scattered in every direction. It was chaos, but it was the kind of chaos that played to humanity's strengths. On the screens, alien ships fired indiscriminately, trying to catch the humans in the open. But the humans didn't fight like the aliens did. They didn't rely on overwhelming firepower to win. They used their wits, their agility, their ability to think on the fly. While the aliens used brute force to strike down their enemies, the humans used speed and unpredictability to avoid becoming targets. Every shot the aliens fired, every missile that streaked toward the Defiant, missed by mere inches as Pierce's fleet danced through the void, twisting and turning with an elegance that confounded their attackers. "Direct hit on an alien destroyer," shouted the weapons officer. "It's going down." Pierce's lips twitched into a slight smile, but she didn't let herself revel in the victory. There was no time for celebration. The alien fleet had grown furious, their commanders now throwing caution to the wind in their attempt to crush humanity's resolve. The humans were not retreating. They were not giving up. They were not fighting like their enemies expected them to fight. They were adapting, learning, using everything at their disposal to survive. As another alien destroyer exploded in a fiery blossom of debris, Captain Pierce could see the panic setting in among the alien commanders. Their perfectly planned attack was falling apart. The human fleet had delivered a blow to their confidence. The aliens may have been technologically superior, but the humans had something else: their unpredictability, their cunning, and the deep resolve to defend their homes, their people, and their future. The alien commander's once confident voice now crackled with hesitation as he barked out more orders. "What are they doing?" he demanded. "Their ships. They keep shifting, dodging our strikes. We cannot predict their movements. This is not supposed to happen." On the Defiant, Pierce stood tall, her focus unwavering. It was no longer just a battle for survival. It was a battle of wills. She knew the aliens were struggling to keep up with humanity's quick-thinking tactics. The longer the humans resisted, the more the alien forces would be forced to adjust, to think in ways they weren't accustomed to. The balance was tipping, but Captain Pierce knew this was just the beginning. They would have to be relentless. They would have to press the advantage, never giving the alien fleet a chance to regroup. "Continue the maneuvering," Pierce ordered. "We can't let them recover their confidence." As the alien ships fired again, their weapons missing or bouncing off the human fleet's shields, the commander knew one thing: the humans were not as inferior as he had believed. What they had underestimated was the ability of a species to fight for something greater than themselves, to adapt when faced with overwhelming odds. The battle was far from over, but the humans had already proven that they were no mere target for the aliens. They were a force to be reckoned with, and the alien fleet was beginning to feel the weight of that truth. As the alien fleet regrouped and reorganized for another push, Captain Pierce knew they had only bought themselves a few precious minutes. The battle was shifting in their favor, but the alien commanders weren't giving up. They were relentless, and their next strike would be more coordinated, more powerful. The human fleet had limited resources and dwindling ammunition. But just as the pressure mounted, a rift in space appeared, a shimmering tear in the fabric of reality itself. For a moment, it seemed as if time itself had paused. The stars seemed to bend and warp around it, a distortion unlike anything the alien fleet had encountered. The alien commanders froze in disbelief as they watched the rip grow larger. From the depths of the rift, something enormous began to emerge. The alien fleet paused in stunned silence as a massive shape came into view, vast and incomprehensible. The Titan, humanity's greatest creation, had arrived. "Report now," the alien commander snapped, his voice trembling with confusion and growing anxiety. The human ships on the front lines shifted as the massive silhouette of the Titan filled the view screen. It was unlike anything they had seen. The mothership's hull was ancient, covered in battle scars and strange markings, but its sheer size was enough to make even the most arrogant alien pause. Its energy signatures were overwhelming, far beyond the capabilities of anything in the galaxy. The Titan was an enigma, a relic of a long-lost war, its origins a mystery to all but a handful of humans who had ever set foot on its decks. And now it was here. "We've never seen anything like it," said Lieutenant Jameson, his voice filled with awe as the Titan moved into position. The ship was a marvel, its weapon systems practically dormant in comparison to the alien armada. Yet its presence was enough to shift the entire battlefield. Its mere arrival seemed to trigger a wave of panic among the alien fleet. Their arrogance had clouded their judgment, and now they were facing an enemy they couldn't understand, a weapon built with the sole purpose of defending humanity. From the bridge of the Titan, Commander Samara Klein, a seasoned veteran of humanity's hidden war, watched as the alien fleet reformed, unsure how to proceed. The mothership's massive guns, each one as big as an entire fleet, remained silent for now, but the crew inside were prepared for war. The Titan wasn't a ship. It was a symbol of humanity's resilience, its ability to rise from the ashes of its own destruction, and its relentless pursuit of survival. It was the end of the aliens' mocking superiority. "Activate primary systems," Commander Klein ordered, her voice steady but filled with purpose. The crew moved with practiced precision, launching a series of systems that would unleash the ship's devastating power. It had been hidden away for years, its technology and weaponry only known to the highest-ranking officials in the human fleet. But today, it would be revealed to the galaxy. On the Defiant, Captain Pierce's eyes widened for a fraction of a second as she saw the Titan charge into the fray. The alien fleet had gone from smug confidence to nervous hesitation in an instant. Their mocking had stopped. This ship, this colossal weapon of destruction, was the proof humanity needed. It was the catalyst for something much bigger than a single battle. The alien forces had underestimated humans, believing them to be inferior. They had no idea what humanity was capable of when pushed to the edge. "Hold your positions," Captain Pierce ordered, her voice calm despite the flood of adrenaline coursing through her veins. "Let the Titan lead the way, we follow." As the Titan moved forward, the rest of the human fleet fell in behind it, the smaller ships a shadow in its wake. The Titan fired its first weapon, a single blast that tore through the heart of an alien cruiser, obliterating it in an instant. The shockwave rippled through the surrounding alien ships, their shields failing to absorb the massive energy pulse. The alien commanders stared in disbelief, watching as one of their largest warships disintegrated before their eyes. The human fleet had only begun to fight, and already the tide was turning. The alien commander, his mind reeling from the sudden shift in the battle, opened a new communication channel. "This is impossible," he muttered, his voice cracking. "How could they have such power?" The words fell on deaf ears. The Titan was humanity's answer to their mockery, and now it was their turn to pay the price. The battle was far from over, but the aliens knew one thing for certain: they had underestimated humanity, and that would be their undoing. The alien fleet, once brimming with arrogance, now found itself in a state of disarray. The Titan's arrival had struck fear into their ranks, its weapons disintegrating their ships with frightening efficiency. The massive warship moved through space like an unstoppable force, each of its shots a devastating reminder that the humans had never been as weak as they had appeared. Alien commanders scrambled to adjust, to formulate a new strategy. They had not expected humanity to possess such power, and now their pride was crumbling beneath the weight of their own disbelief. From the bridge of the Defiant, Captain Pierce's gaze never wavered. The Titan's firepower was overwhelming, but the alien fleet was still massive. Pierce knew this was a turning point. They couldn't allow the aliens to regroup, to recover their confidence. This was their chance to break their spirit once and for all. "Lieutenant Jameson, coordinate with the Titan," Pierce ordered, her voice crisp. "We need to push forward. Their lines are disintegrating, but we can't afford to give them time to regroup. Everyone, prepare for a counterstrike." Jameson nodded, his fingers already flying across the console. The Defiant systems hummed to life as Pierce watched the battle unfold on the view screen. The Titan had opened the floodgates, and now humanity had the momentum. But momentum meant nothing if they didn't press it. The alien fleet, though shaken, was still formidable. And the longer they allowed them to linger, the more likely the aliens would adjust their tactics and turn the tide back in their favor. The alien commander's voice crackled through the comms, strained and filled with fury. "This is not the end, humans. You cannot sustain this attack forever. You are outmatched. Your ships are weak. Your fleets are outnumbered. You cannot." His words were interrupted as the Titan fired another broadside, and yet another alien ship vanished into the void. The remaining alien ships retreated, their once coordinated formation now fragmented and disorganized. The human fleet moved in to capitalize on the opportunity, pushing forward like a pack of wolves closing in on their prey. "Deploy all bombers, launch full strike package," Captain Pierce commanded, her voice sharp as the battle raged. The bombers, small yet deadly ships, hurtled toward the remnants of the alien fleet, their weapons armed and ready. They were agile, quick, and precise, designed for one purpose: to deliver the finishing blow. The alien fleet, now fragmented and overwhelmed, tried to regroup. Their ships scattered in all directions, attempting to dodge the bombers' relentless assault. Some fired back, but their shots were wild, desperate. They were no longer in control. The aliens had made the fatal mistake of assuming humanity's weakness, of underestimating the raw drive of a species fighting for its survival. Now they were paying the price. "Enemy shields failing," reported the tactical officer. "We've breached their defenses on multiple ships." Pierce didn't need to be told twice. She could see it for herself. The human ships were relentless in their pursuit, cutting through the alien defenses with surgical precision. The Titan continued to rain down its devastating fire, each blast a reminder of what humanity was capable of when pushed to the brink. The battle had shifted, and now the humans were in the driver's seat. The alien fleet, no longer able to coordinate, was being torn apart. Alien ships, once mighty, were now falling one by one, their hulking forms drifting into the blackness of space as pieces of debris. The sight of their fleet collapsing under the weight of humanity's will was a sight none of the alien commanders had ever considered possible. "What's happening?" one of the alien leaders shouted, his voice full of disbelief. "How is this happening?" The answer came from an unexpected direction. A massive explosion erupted on the rear of the alien flagship, sending shockwaves through the remaining ships. The blast was followed by the unmistakable signature of human ingenuity, a perfect combination of coordinated fire, technology, and tactics. The alien flagship, the heart of their fleet, was now heavily damaged, its shields collapsing. In the chaos, Pierce gave her next order, voice steady, but filled with purpose. "We end this now." With the alien flagship crippled, the remainder of their fleet faltered, the last vestiges of their strength collapsing under the relentless pressure from the human ships. The counterstrike was a victory, but it was not just a victory of firepower. It was a victory of resilience, of humanity's ability to never stop fighting, no matter the odds. The alien fleet had underestimated humanity, And now they were learning the harshest lesson of all. Never mock a species fighting for its survival. The alien fleet, once a formidable force, was now crumbling. Their advanced ships, their superior technology, all seemed irrelevant against the relentless tide of humanity's resolve. The Titan, with its unparalleled firepower, had broken their defenses. The human fleet, emboldened by the arrival of the mothership, pressed forward without mercy, exploiting every weakness in the alien formation. The once immense armada that had mocked humanity's efforts was now a shattered shell of its former self. From the bridge of the Defiant, Captain Pierce watched the destruction unfold, but her face remained stoic. They had fought for this moment, but there was no room for complacency. They were still outnumbered, and the alien commander wasn't giving up. Pierce knew the aliens would adapt. This fight was far from over. The remaining alien ships were retreating, but their pride had not yet been broken. "Captain, the alien flagship is attempting to make a jump," Lieutenant Jameson reported urgently, his fingers flying over the console. "They're trying to escape." Pierce's heart raced. She had anticipated this. If the alien flagship was allowed to escape, they would regroup and return with reinforcements. Humanity couldn't afford to let that happen. Not now, not after everything they'd fought for. The Titan's arrival had shattered the alien fleet's confidence, but the real victory would come only when the commander who had mocked them was either destroyed or captured. Pierce had to act quickly. "Lock onto their position. Weapons ready," she ordered without hesitation. "We can't let them slip away." "All ships, full pursuit," Pierce added, her voice sharp. The remaining human ships followed the order immediately, setting course for the fleeing alien flagship. The Defiant surged forward, with its engines roaring to life, while the rest of the fleet maintained formation. But the alien flagship, despite its heavy damage, was still fast. Pierce could see it attempting to gain distance, its engines flaring as it prepared to make a jump through hyperspace. "Enemy shields are flickering," Jameson said, his eyes fixed on the display. "We can't give them a chance to recharge." "Fire," Pierce commanded. The first volley of laser blasts erupted from the Defiant's forward guns, striking the alien flagship with deadly accuracy. The shields shimmered under the onslaught, but they couldn't hold much longer. Alien ships, desperately trying to defend their flagship, threw everything they had at the humans. But it was too late. The human fleet's coordinated assault was too precise, too relentless. A barrage of missiles followed, each one finding its mark, tearing into the alien ship's hull. The alien flagship shuddered under the impact, its defensive systems barely holding together. Pierce could see the flagship beginning to slow, its engines sputtering. It wasn't enough to escape. "Another shot. Now," Pierce barked. Another salvo of concentrated fire erupted from the Defiant and the other human ships, and this time, the flagship's shields failed. The ship's hull buckled and cracked, and a massive explosion erupted from within. The alien flagship, once the pride of their fleet, now drifted lifeless in space. The command center had fallen silent, replaced by the sound of the crew's sighs of relief. The alien forces had lost their central command. But Pierce knew better than to celebrate. The remaining alien ships were retreating in disarray, but the battle wasn't completely won. There were still pockets of resistance, smaller skirmishes breaking out as the alien forces tried to reorganize. The Titan, though mighty, had not wiped out the entire fleet in a single blow. There were still scattered groups of alien vessels that could regroup and pose a threat if given time. "Status report on the remaining alien forces," Pierce demanded, her gaze sharp. "We've damaged or destroyed most of their ships, Captain," Jameson replied. "But there are still several large ships on the outer perimeter. They're making evasive maneuvers, but they're not going to last much longer." Captain Pierce nodded, her expression resolute. "We finish this." As the human fleet closed in on the final remnants of the alien forces, the alien commander's voice crackled across the comms once more, though this time it was tinged with desperation. "You may have won this battle," he said, his voice strained, "but this is not the end. We will return, stronger than before. You cannot defeat us all." Pierce's lips curled into a faint, knowing smile. "You've already lost," she replied, "and you'll never understand why." The alien commander's transmission cut off abruptly, his fleet now entirely disbanded. Humanity had dealt a crushing blow to their would-be invaders. The battle had reached its tipping point, and the aliens had underestimated the resilience of the human spirit. They had mocked humanity, but now they would be remembered for their miscalculation. For Captain Pierce and her crew, the battle was over. For the human race, however, this was just the beginning of their rise. The silence that followed the alien fleet's defeat was deafening. On the bridge of the Defiant, Captain Pierce stood tall, her eyes fixed on the view screen. The remaining alien ships had either been destroyed or scattered, their threat neutralized. The Titan hovered in space, a colossal shadow over the debris field left by the battle. The once immense alien fleet was now nothing more than fragments drifting through the void. Yet, despite the victory, a sense of unease lingered. Pierce's mind raced as she scanned the wreckage. There were no signs of reinforcements on the horizon, no indication that more alien ships were approaching. But the silence, though reassuring, was also unsettling. They had won. But had they truly ended the threat, or was this just the beginning? "Status report, Lieutenant," Pierce said, her voice cutting through the stillness. Jameson, the ever-vigilant officer, looked up from his console. "We've accounted for all major alien vessels, Captain. Their flagship is destroyed. The remaining ships are retreating, and there's no sign of any reinforcements yet. It's over for now." "For now." Pierce repeated the words in her mind, but she couldn't shake the feeling that there was more at play here. The aliens had been too confident, too sure of their victory. The mocking laughter, the ridicule, all of it had been a facade. Something about their aggression didn't sit right with her. They had underestimated humanity, but had they underestimated it for the last time? "We should be ready," Pierce said, her voice low. "Just because we've won today doesn't mean we've seen the last of them." Jameson nodded. "I'll make sure all systems are on high alert." The ship's lights flickered briefly, and the crew moved with renewed urgency. Victory was sweet, but Pierce knew better than to assume the war was over. The aliens' retreat was not a surrender. They would regroup. They would adapt. And humanity's fight for survival wasn't over yet. Pierce turned her attention to the Titan. The massive mothership loomed in the distance, the heart of their counterattack. Commander Samara Klein was still aboard the colossal ship, overseeing the final phase of their victory. The Titan had been humanity's trump card, its secret weapon, hidden away until the moment it was most needed. Now it had come to the forefront, and its power had been crucial in breaking the alien fleet's spine. "Send a signal to Commander Klein," Pierce instructed, her voice calm but firm. "We need to debrief and coordinate next steps." As the communication link was established, the image of Commander Klein appeared on the screen. Her face, though tired, was marked with the faintest hint of a smile. "Captain Pierce," Klein greeted her voice carrying the weight of the battle. "It's good to see you. We've seen the reports. The battle is ours, but it's clear this isn't the end." Pierce nodded, her expression sober. "Agreed. We've crushed their forces, but the threat still looms. The aliens will recover, and we need to be prepared for that. The question is, what's their next move?" Klein sighed, a flicker of concern crossing her face. "We've learned a lot today. We've learned that they underestimate us. That's a victory in itself. But we can't ignore the fact that this was just a single fleet. They got more. Much more. This invasion wasn't a fluke. It's part of a larger strategy, one that might have only just begun." Pierce clenched her fists, her thoughts racing. "Then we need to strike first. We can't let them regroup. We take the fight to them." Klein's eyes locked with Pierce's. "It's not just about fighting, Captain. It's about sending a message. We have to show the galaxy that humanity will not be pushed around. We will not bow. We've shown the aliens that we can fight. Now we need to show them that we'll never stop." Pierce smiled slightly, a fire igniting in her chest. "We're just getting started." As the communication ended, Pierce turned to face her crew. The battle was over, but the war was far from won. She had seen what humanity was capable of in the face of overwhelming odds. And now, it was time to make sure the rest of the galaxy saw it too. The aliens had mocked them. They had underestimated them. And now they would learn that the human spirit could not be broken, no matter how many ships they threw into the fray. "Prepare for the next phase," Pierce said, her voice ringing out across the bridge. "We've won this battle, but the war is far from over. Let's make sure the galaxy remembers this day." The Defiant sailed through the remains of the shattered alien fleet, the silence in its wake a stark contrast to the chaos of battle that had erupted only hours before. The crew, though weary, felt a sense of triumph, but also an unease that lingered in the air. They had defeated an invasion, yes, but they had also discovered something deeper, something that echoed in the back of their minds. This was not the end of the war. It was only the beginning. Captain Pierce stood on the bridge, her eyes fixed on the view screen, watching the debris of the alien ships drift through the black expanse of space. The Titan loomed on the edge of the battlefield, a silent giant, its weaponry now at rest, but its presence undeniable. The ship was humanity's greatest achievement, and with it, the human race had shown the galaxy something it had long forgotten: that no matter how insurmountable the odds, humanity would always rise to meet the challenge. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission from command," Lieutenant Jameson reported, his voice cutting through the quiet. Pierce turned toward him, her mind still on the aftermath. "Put it through." The screen flickered, and the face of an older officer appeared. Admiral Rose Grant, the commander of the human defense fleets. Her expression was serious, her eyes betraying no emotion, but there was an air of relief about her. "Captain Pierce, well done," Admiral Grant said. "The reports are coming in from all sectors. The alien fleet has been broken, but we both know this isn't the end. You've done what was thought impossible. Now we need to act quickly." Pierce nodded, sensing the weight behind the Admiral's words. "What's the next move, Admiral?" Grant's voice hardened. "We need to secure the solar systems near the outer rim. This wasn't a lone invasion. The aliens have made their first move, and it's clear they have designs on Earth and our colonies. We've lost too many ships, but the Titan and the Defiant are our key assets now. We need to expand our reach and strike them where it hurts before they regroup." Pierce clenched her jaw. The battle had been hard won, but it was a battle. The war, it seemed, was just beginning. "Understood, Admiral. We'll prepare for the next phase. The aliens will come back stronger, but they won't have the luxury of catching us off guard again. I trust you, Captain. Humanity's future depends on it." Grant out. The screen went dark, and Pierce stood in silence for a moment, her thoughts racing. The stakes had shifted. It wasn't just about winning battles anymore. It was about survival. Humanity had proven its might, but now they had to show that they could endure. "Lieutenant Jameson," Pierce said, her voice firm, "set course for the outer rim. We need to establish a perimeter and prepare for further engagement. We don't wait for them to come to us. We go to them." Jameson nodded immediately. "Aye, Captain. Coordinates are being plotted." As the Defiant turned away from the wreckage of the alien fleet, the crew of the ship felt the gravity of their mission. They were no longer just defending Earth. They were on the offensive now. The message was clear. Humanity was not a species to be underestimated. They would not bow, they would not yield, and they would never stop fighting for their future. The Titan's guns powered down, but its presence remained as a testament to human ingenuity, to the strength of a species that had once been mocked as inferior. The aliens had learned that lesson the hard way, and now it was time for the rest of the galaxy to understand it as well. As Pierce looked out at the stars, a fierce determination filled her chest. They had fought hard. They had bled for this moment. But the journey was far from over. The war was not won in a single battle, and the enemies humanity faced were still out there, waiting. The human race had earned a hard-fought victory, but it would not stop there. This was just the first step on a path to ensuring that humanity's legacy would not be defined by those who thought they could destroy it. "We'll finish this," Pierce muttered under her breath, her voice resolute. "We'll make sure the galaxy knows we're here to stay." The Defiant cut through the dark, and the Titan followed behind, a reminder that humanity was far from the weak, fragile species the aliens had believed them to be. It was time to show the galaxy what humanity could truly accomplish when faced with adversity, and they would never stop fighting until the universe knew their name.